Hi, Year One. I've got a story to share with you today. I hope you enjoy it. This is called Bob's Best Ever Friend, and the man on the front cover is Bob. Can you see any other characters on the front cover? I wonder who they are. Okay, let's have a look inside. Bob's Best Ever Friend. Can you see Bob? Bob is here. He's on his bouncy castle. I wonder, have you ever been on a bouncy castle, Year One? Did you like it? Was it a bit scary? Or were you brave and bounced really, really high, just like Bob? I bet you loved it. It was a Tuesday morning in space, and nothing much was happening. By 10 o'clock, Bob, the man on the moon, had finished all of his jobs for the day. There were no space tourists to entertain, and his friends, Billy and Sam, were away on a day trip to Pluto, visiting a most exciting pet show. They hoped to see some alien animals there, but Bob thought they'd be disappointed. After all, everyone knows there's no such thing as aliens, and especially not alien animals. With nobody to talk to, Bob felt a little bit glum. Year One, do you know what glum means? What do you think it could mean? He was feeling a little bit glum. We know his best friends are away. Glum means lonely and a bit sad. That's how Bob is feeling right now. Then, at lunchtime, he even had a bounce on his bouncy castle alone, and that had never, but never happened before. Quite frankly, Bob was a bit lonely. To cheer himself up, Bob went for a quick spin around the universe in his rocket. Nothing much was happening there either. Unfortunately, every last planet was closed for the winter, so Bob stopped off on a passing asteroid to enjoy a nice cup of tea and a corned beef slice. The view was beautiful. It was just a shame that he had no one to share it with. What I need, thought Bob to himself, is a best ever friend, a chum, someone to help with intergalactic missions and jigsaw puzzles, a pal who will always be by my side. But where on earth could he find a friend like that? So Bob is hunting for a best ever friend. For the rest of the day, Bob pondered his problem until it was time to return to Earth for a nice supper of fish fingers and peas. As a Tuesday treat, he allowed himself to eat it in front of the TV. The newsreader was warning that a troublesome asteroid had been causing havoc elsewhere in the solar system and was now in danger of crashing onto Earth. Bob was glued to the screen. He wished he had someone to watch the programme with. It was so exciting. As he sipped his cocoa in bed, Bob thought it would be so much easier if a best ever friend could find him instead. Wow, look at that! An asteroid. And can you see what or who is on the asteroid? I wonder who this character is going to be. Who do you think? The next day, Bob didn't have to start work until the evening, so after some early star jumps in the garden, he cycled into town to do a spot of shopping. Firstly, he had a quick peek around the modern art gallery. Then he bought two smallish batteries to power his rocket. He bought a smart pair of moon patterned underpants. They were half price in the sale, and a newspaper hot off the press. The streets were busier than ever. Bob wondered how on earth anyone could hope to spot a best ever friend in a place like this. Poor old Bob. I wonder if he'll find his friend. Do you think he'll find his friend, Year One? In the midst of his daydreams, Bob suddenly found himself staring into the window of the local pet shop. The pet shop was called Cats, Rats, and Bats. At first, He was a trifle confused. Why had he gone there? Oh, then he remembered Clive and Keith, his cousin Dougal's goldfish. Bob was looking after them for a day or two, and that this morning he thought they were looking rather peckish. Do you know what peckish means, year one? Can you think what peckish might mean if you're not sure? Peckish means hungry. As he paid for their squishy, delishy, fishy food, 59p, a strange notion popped into Bob's head. Perhaps his best ever friend could be a pet. Could be. Bob had a good idea to look around inside, but he couldn't see anything that looked like a best ever friend. To tell you the truth, some of the animals looked a little odd to him. Oh well, he sighed to himself, you can't rush these things. His thoughts were interrupted by the chimes of the town clock. It was 4:30, time for tea. Some of the animals do look rather strange in this picture. I wonder if you can see them. I can see a zebra that is the wrong colour. It's a very interesting pet shop. I'd like to visit, but maybe not on my own. The best tea in town was served at Moon Soup Pit Stop Cafe. Bob felt quite at home amongst the moon pictures and decorations, although sometimes he did call it the Moon Stop Pit Soup Cafe by mistake. He wondered if anyone would recognise him without his spacesuit on. No one did. So he sat quietly and nibbled his favourite moon soup crater cake. He knew it was really just a donut, but it was a tip-top tasty all the same. It was a shame there was no time for seconds. But night was falling and Bob had to do a job. The moon was waiting, and he had to be the man on the moon. Bob pedalled as fast as he could to the rocket launch pad and in a super fast flash changed into his man on the moon suit. He needed to reach the moon before the first Moon Tours tourist spaceship arrived. There were snacks and entertainments to prepare. After clambering aboard and flicking lots of switches, his rocket began to rumble, and Bob counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off! By 5:45, he was zooming towards the golden moon, and by 6 o'clock, he was there. There's the tourists, zooming in their tourist rocket. Can you see who is on the tiny wing of the rocket? Bob welcomed the tourists with a free mini pork pie and a speech. He then performed his thrilling moon-themed variety show, and everyone went home happy. Everyone, that is, except Bob, who was alone once more. Quietly, he packed away his props and began his weekly crater count. And that's when it happened. There, popping out of crater number 204, was a little furry tail. What could it be? What do you think, year one? What do you think is in crater 204? The closer Bob got to it, the faster the tail was wagging, and then, as if by magic, something amazing shot out of the crater. No one in the whole universe would have expected to see what Bob saw at that moment. Look at his face. He looks so excited. It was a dog. The most smiley, springy dog that Bob had ever seen. He had no idea where it had come from or how it had got there, but he didn't care. He didn't even care that it looked a little bit odd. All Bob knew was that from this moment onwards, they would be best ever friends. It was as if it had all been written in the stars. Bob's found his best ever friend. Bob called his dog Barry, and each day with their friends they would run, they would leap, and they would play. Except, of course, on Tuesday lunchtimes. On Tuesday lunchtimes, they would bounce and bounce and bounce. On the bouncy castle, of course. Can you see it? They bounced a long way. And look, there he is with his best ever friend Barry. I wonder, year one, what's the name of your best ever friend?